You are tuned in to Kids in the Pit. Hey guys, it's Gabe from Kids in the Pit podcast. Today I'm chatting with Trevor Phipps from Unearth. Hey Trevor, I was lucky enough to go on tour with you guys last week for 5 days. Thank you so much for letting me go on my first tour. Most 10-year-olds never get to do that. It was so much fun. Okay, let's talk about your band. For those who don't know, what do you do in Unearth?
I'm the singer of the band Unearth, and you and your mom are great on tour. Thank you for joining us, and we had a great time. Us, you guys, Madball, and on Death. It was a good time.
Yeah, that was really fun. Okay, so my favorite Unearth song is Zombie Autopilot. What about yours?
My favorite Unearth song is This Lying World. Ever since we introduced that song into the set in 2004, it has never left the set. It's a band favorite to play. It's a crowd favorite to hear. It's never been a video, which is pretty cool. It just kind of organically became a crowd favorite, and even crowds that might not know us that well, like a festival crowd for a fest that we haven't played before, they all seem to react very well to it. So it's got all the elements of what Unearth brings to the table musically and vocally.
Yeah, I really like that song. There's a really good part in it. I'm pretty sure it's in that song. It goes like, "Oh, break down." Is
That's
that
the one.
in this line?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I really like that
it
part.
is. Yeah, people seem to like that. It's fun.
Yeah.
Good one to play.
So, what is your favorite place you've toured in, and what's the most obscure place you've toured in?
I've got a lot of favorite places. I really enjoy going to Australia. I'm really enamored with that place. All the major cities are on the coastline. Great food. Wildlife is wildly different. There's casinos in almost every city, which is fun. I think it's a really cool place to go. I also really like Japan quite a bit. It's the most unique place I've been on the planet. Um, Parts of it are like a future world, and other parts are very ancient, and kind of everything in between. I really enjoy going to Europe. They've always treated us very well there. And as far as obscure places, I can't really say we've been to many very obscure places, but we have been to some less traveled countries for metal and hardcore bands like Singapore, Philippines. We've been in Indonesia 4 times, which is a wild trip for us.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
I really like going to Southeast Asia.
If you guys have played anywhere in Africa, that's probably the most obscure.
Oh, we did play Johannesburg, South Africa. Um,
Oh, okay, so that
I
might
know on
be
the tour we were talking about Stick to Guns played Kenya, and bands that are
yeah, first
this style of
ever
music
band
don't
to play in
generally play
Nairobi.
there. That's
Well, first
what an
American
honor it
hardcore
must have
band.
been. That's
Not
really cool.
yeah,
Claim to fame there.
because that's pretty far away. I wonder,
It
like,
is.
it's really cool that uh, people from there are into that kind of music.
Yeah, I think people worldwide just like good music. I don't think
Yeah, it's
genres
all
don't matter
taste.
as much as they used to. You can like any style of music. Music is on the internet. So if you find that you like a beat or a song or a riff or a vocal line or a melody, I mean, a good song is a good song, right? It doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
certain genre.
So, do you have any crazy tour stories that are, of course, appropriate for a 10-year-old?
I do. I have one silly one. We were on tour in Southeast Asia, and we were in Malaysia, and I was sharing a room with our bassist Chris O'Toole, and I didn't know this particular thing about him until I found out kind of the hard way. Uh, he was brushing his teeth with my toothbrush. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? She's like, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm like, that's my toothbrush. She's like, no, it's not. It's mine. And mine was clearly red, and his was clearly purple. I'm like, dude, that's a red toothbrush. Yours is over here, your purple one. He goes, oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm colorblind. So we had the same style of toothbrush, same brand, but so he was using my toothbrush. I was pretty grossed out by it.
Wait,
Another crazy tour story was, I think it was 3 years ago now. We were on tour with Soulfly on the West Coast, and we played Portland, Oregon. It was in February too, so it was winter, and we had to go to Sacramento the next day. But there was a blizzard
oh,
coming
no.
up the coast, so we
Yeah.
left. We left at like 4 in the morning to try to avoid this blizzard. Um, and we missed the main part of it, but when we got to the highway to get further down, the highway was closed. So GPS took us a roundabout way. So GPS was taking us the wrong way. It took us through these kind of mountainous roads, through these small towns, and eventually we got stuck in about 2.5 feet of snow, and we could not move. Luckily, a bunch of locals in the area, because we're deep in the country, they had tractors that could come over the snow and pull us to safety. We had to get pulled and like towed 3 separate times. But the first people, we were so far out of town. First people said, "Hey, a few years ago, a family did the same thing because of GPS during a storm. And they end up further down the road when there's no houses, and they were stuck with no homes in sight. And they were there for a few days, and the dad went out to walk to find help eventually, and he ended up passing away from hypothermia. Luckily, we didn't get as far as he did. Um, and all we had in the van was donuts and whiskey. We had no water, nothing. So we didn't think we'd get stuck like that. So it was kind of a rough 10 hours, but that was a wild time.
Wow, that's very scary. Also, with that toothbrush thing, what member was it?
Chris, bass,
The bass player?
a British guy.
Yep. I didn't know he was colorblind, but cool. Well,
Yeah, mostly reds and greens, he says. Reds, greens, and blues. He has a tough time telling apart, I think.
Oh, so what was your first concert and how old were you?
I was 13. My dad took my best friend and my girlfriend at the time to see a concert called The Clash of the Titans. And it was that the three headlining bands would rotate. And the night that they played near Boston, where I grew up, was Anthrax. And then before them was Slayer, before them was Megadeth, and Alice in Chains opened up. And no one knew Alice in Chains really at the time. So I think it was 8,000 or 10,000 people there. And there's one guy during Alice in Chains that was headbanging, and everyone else was sitting down. But then they ended up being the biggest band out of all of them for a while. Yeah, that was a great first concert.
Nice. Wait, so that's almost all that's all of the big four except for Metallica, right?
Yep. Metallica was off doing their own thing. I think they were doing around that same time. I could be mistaken with the year, but they were doing massive stadium tours back then with like Guns N' Roses and stuff. So it was a little different size back then.
Yeah. So, what is a band you suggest other people go see play live?
One of my favorite bands in the world to see is Terror. I think their frontman Scott Vogel is one of the best hardcore frontmen of all time. Um, some of the younger bands are killing it right now too. You can check out Knocked Loose, who are just completely throwing down and killing it right now. And a band I haven't seen live yet, but I really enjoy the music, and I've seen some videos on YouTube. It's a band called Spirit Adrift. They're a bit more in the rock and roll spectrum of metal, but they're really good.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna see Terror in December, and it was like Red something, Reading, Pennsylvania, I think.
Reading, yeah, that's cool.
Um,
Cool town.
I think it's December 17th. It's like Wisdom in Chains is playing. Also Agnostic Front and also Terror. So I don't
Really?
yeah. So
That
I
sounds like
don't
a
know
wild show.
what?
It sounds like a wild show.
Yeah, it's gonna be really
Careful near
fun.
that pit.
So what are a few of your major musical influences?
Um, so growing up was all the classic rock like Creedence and Steppenwolf and the Beatles, Rolling Stones. That's all stuff my dad introduced to me as a kid. He would play around the house, and then uh, my best friend in elementary school, his older brother, showed us Iron Maiden, and after that, I just realized I love metal. Found thrash metal and really dug into that. Anthrax, my favorite band for many years. Love Megadeth, Metallica, and I dipped into rock stuff like Faith No More quite a bit. I like Guns N' Roses a lot, even Def Leppard, Motley Crue. Um, then I found death metal, Pantera. When they came out, they'll probably be my forever favorite band, Pantera, because they had such an impact on me as a young kid. Um, then death metal, then I found Earth Crisis because at the time there was so much glam metal, and there's a lot of guitar solos and kind of over the top, um, you know, glam style metal that I was really craving, just really heavy and just harder. And Earth Crisis was it. They were playing crunchy riffs and aggressive vocals, but there were no, fabulous guitar solos, muddying up all the songs. And I love a good guitar solo, but at the time it was a bit overkill at the time. So that's when I kind of found, not kind of, this one I really found hardcore and you start digging into different scenes and different bands and love Sick of It All. A local band that we have up here, shouldn't say local because they were international, but they really did well up here, a band called Sam Black Church. And they were a huge influence on me. Still are. I still listen to them. And their singer Jet is a complete madman on the mic. So much fun to watch live.
Nice. Okay, so now for some non-music related questions. So where did you grow up and do you still live there?
I grew up in Massachusetts. I grew up near Boston, a town called Wakefield. My folks still live there. I do not. I live about an hour west of Boston right now. But I've bounced all over the state. I quite like Massachusetts. I like the weather, with four seasons. Um, yeah, I just love Massachusetts. Right,
Yeah.
it's near the ocean. Cool spot. I heard Delaware is nice too.
What?
I heard Delaware is nice too.
Yeah, it is. My aunt lives in Lynn.
No kidding. Really? Did you tell
Yeah.
Buzz that?
I think I did.
Did? Okay. Because that's where Buzz is from originally.
Yeah. So what is your favorite type of food?
I got a few different kinds. The older I get, it's tougher to find a favorite. Growing up, it was always barbecue chicken. Um, More lately, it's been more like a vegetarian style. Not all the time, but there's not a lot of food I don't like. I'd say the only food I don't like is black olives. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, our producer for our last couple records, Will Putney, and he had the same affliction with olives as I did. But during the pandemic, he's like he wanted to challenge himself to like olives, so he'd have a little bit of an olive every day. And he said after about a month, he started craving olives and liking olives. So that
Oh,
seems to be a good mind trick. So maybe I'll try that one day because anything an olive touches, I can then I can't touch that food. So if you put an olive on a pizza or an olive on a salad, I dislike the taste of the olive so much, mostly black olives, that I can't even touch that food.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of olives.
And not
So
that good. But
yeah,
some people love them, so maybe I'll train myself to like
maybe. So what was your favorite movie as a kid?
it. Rocky 2 was is been my longest standing favorite movie. I remember being a kid. Um, so I saw all the Rockies as a young kid, but I remember watching Rocky 2 and liking it the most just because it's more of the comeback story. Um, Not to ruin it for anyone, but he loses in part one. In part two, he trains really hard and wins. There's a whole dramatic story as a kid, and his wife goes in a coma. What a wonderful story it is for a sports movie, for a boxing film. Um, and I would do the training montage as a kid. So picture 7-year-old me doing the training montages, the one-arm pull-ups, and I probably couldn't do them back then. I was faking it, and one-arm push-ups, and I was mimicking the whole thing. And I would watch it almost daily. Um, and the movie's an inspirational sports film, and I love it so much. Still
Nice.
do.
I
How
guess
about
I'll check them out.
what's yours?
Um, well, the thing is, I don't watch many movies, but yeah, I mean, I do like Harry Potter. Those are pretty up. Those are pretty high on my list, but I just don't watch many movies.
My kids both love Harry Potter very much, and
Yeah.
we've seen all the films. My daughter's read all the books. Um, it's a great franchise. I would highly recommend watching them all and reading them all. It's a great story.
Okay. So if you could transform into any type of animal for one day, which one would you choose and why?
I choose an orca because they do not have any natural predators besides mankind, and even then we don't really hunt them. We
Yeah.
do keep them captive sometimes, and in aquariums, which we shouldn't do. But also they swim to great depths, and they such a beautiful living thing that'd be a fun beast to experience the world in a different way other
Yeah,
than on dry ground.
that'd be cool because you'd be able to explore the depths of the ocean
Exactly.
and like
And then have fun. Have fun. You'd be having your lunch on seals, and they play with their food, which seems pretty cruel, but that is the animal world. It seems like fun, fun, fun beast to be.
yeah. It would be actually kind of fun to hunt down animals in the sea. I know that sounds a little cruel. If there's any vegans watching, please don't unsubscribe. But still, you gotta admit, it would be fun as an orca.
Well, people, I think humans are intelligent to know that if they choose not to eat meat, they know they're doing that A, maybe for their own health, and B, because they don't want their animals to die.
Yeah,
Um, but the natural world, there are animals that strictly eat only meat. So I think I think even vegans understand that. So I don't think they'll
yeah,
unsubscribe. But us talking about orcas eating
yeah.
meat,
So if you had a time machine, would you travel to the future or back to the past?
uh, that's a tough one. You don't want to go in the past because then you might mess something up, right? And then you
Yeah,
might not be
if
born.
you kick a rock, you might not be born.
Yeah, that is a theory, right? So I wouldn't want to go in the past.
Yeah,
Plus, you'd be tempted to change something anyway, and which would alter the course of the whole timeline of everyone's life. Uh, I would shoot for maybe 1 or 200 years in the future to see where mankind has come. As long as I could come back, so what I wouldn't want to leave friends and family in this life I'm leading right now. But I like to see where technology goes when it's years past my expected expiration date, to see what happens.
yeah.
How about you?
What?
How about you? How far would you go,
Probably the
or which
future
way?
because, like you said, if you like, you could really change the future, and that could be a bad idea.
Exactly.
So yeah, probably the future. Also, Buzz inspired me to get a 7-string guitar, and it arrived today. Do you want to see it?
I'd love to see it.
Okay. So
But
big.
dang, that's nice color too.
Yeah. It was only like $250. So it's an
Nice.
how do I fit this? It's an Ibanez Geo, so they're very good for kids. Oh, there's a guitar pick right there.
Well done, man. I like it. Nice
Anyway,
guitar.
would you like to add anything before we end the podcast?
Here's my guitar.
Oh, nice. You want to do a guitar battle? Kidding.
Oh, it's out of tune. Thanks. Hear that? That's
Oh,
better. So I sometimes I come up. This is my attic, a little studio room in the attic. I come up here and I
nice.
sing folk, old man folk songs. Keep my voice warm.
So, thanks to Trevor for joining me today, and thanks to all of you for watching or listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on other streaming platforms. Until next week, bye.